Well, I guess it begins with what I needed to recover from. I was a hider. I learned very, very young that life was incredibly unsafe and that people were unsafe. And I literally used to hide in my closet with my sister to find a place of quiet and peace. So I was able to, I think, recreate that with alcohol and drugs. I started ending up in the emergency room almost every week. And then that became the ICU with respiratory failure and having to be intubated. I would leave the hospital, I would use that day. And that kind of went on for years. I think my story looks like a lot of other people's, in and out of short-term treatment programs. And finally, September 17th of 2013, I landed here at Alina Lodge. I told my counselor for, I think the first 6 months of my stay here that basically I live here now. I can never leave. If I'm gonna be alive and sober, I have to live here. I didn't know any other way to live. I really didn't think it was possible for me to be a part of this world and not, that was my coping, my way of coping, and to not have that. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know how to live. Everything felt pretend before I arrived here. My counselor was the softest, kindest, safest place for me to land. And something about my relationship with her was so important to feeling held and safe to begin to sprout to life. So in addition to the program, the 12-step work, the counseling and the therapy, I had the gift of being introduced to mindfulness meditation. And it is where I learned to sit still and to notice this internal experience of just waves and emotions and feelings and just sit still. It's become the fabric of my life. So the word recovery had, in Webster's dictionary, they have like all these different definition. 1 is this, 2 is this. There was a definition that said to save, to return to usefulness. And that resonated. Like, this journey of recovery for me was about becoming useful to the world, right? Useful to others. Using my life to be helpful. Using my life to bring meaning. Or in recovery, we call, being of service. This is where I found myself. This is where I found my true nature. And this feels like a continuation of that story, just at this next level, or just this next version of myself and my life, my journey, my story. It's funny, when I left here in 2014, at the time I thought, okay, a new chapter is starting. I'm beginning anew, right? And I find myself, full circle back here all these years later. And I'm realizing, this is actually the close of that chapter, and this is where the new chapter begins.